Champions Cup Friday games. There's only one this Friday, and it's Harlequins taking on Castres. It's it's a first against not quite last, but ninth matchup here at the Stoop this Friday. Quins have already made it through, but they'll want to go get a win here because they'll want to finish as high as possible to ensure any knockout matches can be played at the Stoop. For Castres, it's just the last game of the season in the Champions Cup before they get back into the top 14. So, we'll go through the squads, a couple of stats, and you guys can let me know your thoughts on how this one is going to go. In round one, it was pretty close. It was 20 points to 18. I seem to remember Harlequins pulling this one out of the fire at the death. I could be wrong, but it was definitely a close one. The Harlequins, I feel like, were pretty fortunate to get a result, but they got a away result in France, which was, it's always a pretty tough place to go. I think the Castres record in the top 14 at home has been really good this year. So it was quite a result, but it's a different story now that they're back home, and with the fact they've already qualified, they've kind of been free to make a few changes as well. You've still got Marla in there, but Musk's come in at hooker and Kieran's up from the bench to number 3. So it's only one guy who started last week in the front row who starts this week, and that is Joe Marla. And he tends to go pretty deep in the minutes. We'll see if they give Garcia Botta any more time this week, or if Marla kind of does the whole shift. Lamb and Tizard are the second row. So Tizard is up from the bench. Taulani, Wallace, and Dombrandt are the back row. So Wallace is into the side after not featuring last week. Otherwise, Dombrandt and Taulani are keeping things pretty consistent. Scott Steele and Tommy Allen are back in the side. They didn't play last week at all, so you got two international guys there. Tommy Allen, I seem to remember, has had a pretty long layoff with injury, so it's been good to see him back. He started the season for Quins when Smith wasn't there, and he was actually looking the business. He was looking really good, in with his new team. So pretty pleasing to see him back. Esterhazen is also back. He's probably one of the main guys to watch, man. He's been in absolutely blockbusting form all year for Quins, and last year, all season. He's just such a unit of a man. He's, he was always a big unit. Back when he played for the Sharks in Super Rugby, he was a big unit, but he just seems to be somehow even better. With this Quins lineup. Hugh Jones is also up from the bench at 13. Outside backs are Murley and Liner. Those guys have been pretty electric out on the wings. The cross kick game has been a pretty big one, but we'll see if Tommy Allen kind of replicates what we've seen from Smith. And then Nick David comes in at fullback, so there's no Tyrone Green. Joe Marchant's down to the bench. Marcus Smith is down to the bench. It's a little bit of rotation to make sure these guys all get a fair few minutes. For Castres, remember I said they're already out, so it's kind of no surprise they've made a few changes. Barlow has come in at hooker, and he is captain for this week. The props are the same, but Van Verberg is there in the second row as well. Remember, he's just been named in that French squad for the Six Nations, so he'll get his debut if he gets a game for France. So he's one guy who, even if this game for his team is not really that important, he'll be one guy who'll be wanting to put in an absolute shift to, basically put his name forward. Castres is in at 6. I don't know him, but he's got a long name, so I'll be keen to see how he goes. Kafatolu moves to 7 from 6, and Kornath is there at 8. So, 4 changes to the playing personnel up front. Remember, Castres might be already out, but they were also really close at home last week as well, so it's not like they've been bad. Cockett's up from the bench to 9. Nikosi is still there on the left wing, and he was in kind of blockbusting form last week too. Kosagi is there at 12. I'm sure that's not the right way to say that name. Aguilar moves to 13 from 12, and the rest of the side is pretty much steady as she goes. So, when I looked at Castres' stats, it's their penalties conceded that seems to be pretty costly for them. It's cost them a few points in the Champions Cup this year. That's one area they'll be looking to improve. And Harlequins, with the way they play, it's kind of no surprise that beating defenders, they are one of the top sides in the Champions Cup in that stat. So at home, you would kind of expect them to do kind of more of the same. But we will see. In terms of the predictions, remember, it was only a 2-point game in France. Now that the game has moved to England, Quins are kind of heavier favourites, 10 points according to the Rugby forecast algorithm, and then 15 points according to the bookies. The Quins guys are favourites. It is at the Stoop. It's at 8 p.m. local time. Mike Adamson is the ref. I feel like he's been prone to the odd howler. I don't usually talk about refs because I know they're pretty much just doing their job for the most part, but he's one guy that seems to stand out a little bit recently just for having the odd howler, but I could be mistaken. Fingers crossed we're not talking about him at the end of the game. But anyway, you guys let me know your thoughts. How do you reckon this one's going to go? Do you reckon Quins too good at home, especially seeing as they actually have something on the line, or do you think Castres are going to finally pick up a win? Because as I said, they have been close in a couple of their games. But anyway, you guys have any thoughts? And I'll talk to you soon. See you later.